As explained in the previous video, Italian presents a unique phonetic structure distinguished by its vowel system. Central to this system are the concepts of strong and weak vowels, which play a crucial role in syllable formation and pronunciation. As previously explained, Italian has 5 vowel graphemes, aka written letters A, E, I, O, and U. However, you might find other sources stating that Italian has 7 vowels. This is because, in this case, they are considering the vowel phonemes, aka the sounds, since E and O can be pronounced as open and closed sounds. We are going to learn about Italian phonemes in the next video. Today, we care about the 5 graphemes. Understanding the distinction between strong and weak vowels is fundamental in recognizing and deciphering more complex phonetic phenomena, such as diphthongs, triphthongs, and hiatus. Diphthongs occur when 2 vowels are pronounced within the same syllable, while triphthongs involve 3 vowels pronounced successively in the same syllable. Hiatuses, on the other hand, arise when 2 consecutive vowels are pronounced separately in different syllables. By discerning the rules of strong and weak vowels, it's easier to navigate Italian phonetic intricacies. Thus, mastering these concepts enhances pronunciation accuracy and facilitates comprehension. However, before delving into the matter, we need to understand what a syllable is, since this concept is strictly related to strong and weak vowels. The syllable is the minimum phonic unit, autonomous and distinct from the point of view of articulation, into which words can be divided. In simpler terms, a syllable is the smallest fragment, the basic building block of a word, and, in fact, it can even consist of only one letter, a vowel. Now that we have clarified this, let's start with the strong vowels. The strong vowels are A, E, and O, and they owe their name to the ability to form a syllable independently, without additional letters. Specifically, you can find the standalone strong vowel at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of words. Let's see some examples. We can have A as a standalone syllable at the beginning of a word, for example, amico, a-mi-co. In the middle of it, for example, oasi, o-a-zi, or at its end, for example, canoa, ca-no-a. Then we can have E as a standalone syllable at the beginning of a word, for example, elefante, e-le-fan-te. In the middle of it, for example, poesia, po-e-zi-a, or at its end, for example, eroe, e-ro-e. At last, we can have O as a standalone syllable at the beginning of a word, for example, orologio, o-ro-lo-gio. In the middle of it, for example, cooperazione, co-o-pe-ra-zio-ne, or at its end, for example, ciao, cia-o. That said, let's see the weak vowels. The weak vowels are I and U, and unlike strong vowels, they inherently rely on other letters, consonants, or other vowels to form a syllable. For example, insalata, in-sa-la-ta, giallo, giallo, spaghetti, spaghetti, uovo, uovo, acqua, acqua, blu. However, there are 2 cases where I and U become strong vowels. First, when they are accentuated, or second, due to etymological reasons. In these 2 cases, we follow the same rules we apply to A, E, and O. Let's see some examples. We can have I as a standalone syllable at the beginning of a word, for example, idea, I-de-a. In the middle of it, for example, Luigi, Lu-i-gi, or at its end, for example, invei, in-ve-i. Then we can have U as a standalone syllable at the beginning of a word, for example, umano, u-ma-no. In the middle of it, for example, paura, pa-u-ra, or at its end, For example, Esau, E-sa-u. In conclusion, distinguishing between strong and weak vowels constitutes a fundamental aspect of Italian phonetics. We have clarified their characteristics and significance within the language through examples, emphasizing their role in syllable formation and phonetic patterns. Acquiring thorough understanding of these concepts empower learners to engage with Italian more effectively, enriching their linguistic journey and cultural experience. Until next time,
arrivederci.